Where there is darkness,
light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master,
grant that we may not so much seek
to be consoled as to console,
to be understood as to understand,
to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive,
it is in pardoning that we are pardoned,
and it is in dying
that we are born to eternal life.
Amen.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. PriceSmart faces Forex challenges in Trinidad. Police chief responds to PM's criticism, defends TTPS commitment. Store Bay redevelopment phase 1 set for July, and internationally, deadly LA wildfires persist as winds threaten progress. Now for the details. PriceSmart has reported ongoing difficulties accessing foreign exchange in Trinidad and Tobago, holding approximately $70.1 million in local currency as of November 30th, 2024, which it cannot convert. The company highlighted that the central bank's strict management of exchange rates and limited US dollar liquidity continue to pose challenges, exposing PriceSmart to potential currency devaluation risks. Similar issues are being faced in Honduras, with $10.9 million in lempiras also trapped. Despite these setbacks, PriceSmart recorded over $4.9 billion in revenues for fiscal 2024, with a 7.6% increase in fourth quarter revenue compared to 2023. The company continues to work with banks and government officials to resolve the currency challenges. Police Commissioner Earle Haywood Christopher has defended the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service following Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's claim that the officers in some districts are hiding in stations out of fear of criminals. The commissioner reassured citizens that police stations remain open 24/7 and officers are trained and dedicated to their duties, even amid challenging conditions during the ongoing state of emergency. Haywood Christopher emphasized that security protocols have been heightened and officers continue to patrol, respond to emergencies, and maintain public safety. She encouraged citizens to support efforts to combat crime by providing crucial information. Tourism Secretary Tasha Burris has announced that the first phase of the Store Bay redevelopment project is expected to begin in July. After consultation with stakeholders, updated designs were presented and received positive feedback. The project, managed by the Eco-Industrial Development Company of Tobago, aims to enhance tourism infrastructure, focusing on improving booths and the food court. Burris emphasized the THA's commitment to delivering the project despite financial challenges. Internationally, in Los Angeles, wildfires have claimed a 25th life, with 13 people still missing. Firefighters battling 4 major blazes face renewed challenges as strong winds of up to 70 miles per hour are forecast. The Eaton fire, burning over 14,000 acres, is now 35% contained, while the larger Palisades fire has scorched 23,000 acres and remains 18% contained. Thousands remain under evacuation order, with curfews in place as officials work to control the devastation. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has vowed swift rebuilding efforts, and authorities have issued emergency measures to curb price gouging. Experts link the worsening fires to climate change, citing drier, windier conditions. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
Her voice has mesmerized us for years.
And now, in a rare treat for music fans,
Shakuntala and Friends in concert, featuring Shakuntala Jangbahadur. Singing sensation Deval Chaitlal, brilliant musician Dr. Shivanan Maharaj, master flautist and saxophonist Narendra Maharaj, with music from Shiv Sangeet Orchestra. Shakuntala and Friends in concert.
Shakuntala, Tala.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Fan Zone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white-collar crime, though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
Because vision doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia that's responsible for looting the country, and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward and our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. I mean, and Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
WESN.
Hello there, and welcome to this special edition of AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keith and Sean. Thank you for joining us. I say special edition because we've got a co-host with us this morning, somebody who has actually risen before the sun has, and that in itself is a good thing. We also have with us a special guest. I say special because this was planned about 8 o'clock last evening. Discussions were put in place, and we were just actually talking about the topic of air. But first, let me introduce my co-host for this edition of the program. She is the news anchor at WESN, as well as a co-producer of AM Prime, Naomi McNish. Naomi, good morning, and welcome back. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Keith, and good morning to all the AM Prime group viewers. Sorry. Happy to
No
be
worries. It's early in the morning. We're all still waking up very early. And one individual who was awake before all of us, but decided to come in last, Sule Joseph is with us. Sule, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Keaton. And the last shall be first, and so therefore the first sometimes shall be last. Thank you for having me this morning.
Sorry to confuse the wheels of everything. Sule, good to see you. And a happy new year, of course, to both of you guys. Thanks for joining us. Now, Sule is actually the chairman of the Youth Mobilization Project, and in part of that, they're actually having a Growth and Opportunities Expo being held tomorrow at the National Academy for Performing Arts, that's NAPA, in Porto, Spain. Now, it's specifically targeting a youth. Of course, school children, but all youth are welcome to be a part of it. And it focuses again specifically on Port of Spain and its environs. But let's get more into this as Sule joins us for this conversation. Sule, I've briefly introduced what is taking place tomorrow at NAPA, but please expand a bit more as per tomorrow's activities and events.
All right. So first, let me be informal, and then I'll be formal about it, right? And the informality, Trinidad and Tobago, basically, forgive me as I speak Trini parlance, right? And I break it down. Look, we have plenty youth sitting on the corner complaining about it have nothing for we, right? They have nothing for we outside there. As the problems have nothing. The government doing nothing, nobody doing nothing. It's sufferation, right? And we have a lot of agencies, because I deal with agencies, actually. I specialize in working with youth. And there are a lot of agencies that we also work with who complain about under-subscription to the programs that exist. So then there's a gap. There's a gap between the youth who sitting on the corner saying that they have nothing for me, and the programs that exist in terms of the under-subscription of a lot of these programs, because there are some brilliant programs out there. That is the truth. So what we've decided to do, out of an NGO that was formed back in 2015, right, called the Youth Mobilization Foundation, is to bridge that gap between the youth who look in and the organizations that need. Right? So this is the hope that this expo will be that bridge, will be that bridge that connects the youths where they are at. Now, as a therapist, I understand meeting people where they're at. You can't come and talk this fancy language to some people who don't speak that language. They won't understand what you're saying. And you can't come and speak a certain language to people at a higher level because they don't understand what you're saying. So you need a bridge. And so therefore, what we are attempting to do essentially is to bridge that gap, is to provide that space where we could tell people from the community, come and hear this now, and come and sit down and listen to these programs. Come and see what opportunities you have available to you. Come and see who hiring. Come and see what career paths exist. Come and see how do you become this? How do you move forward on this? How do you're interested in law? How do you move from where you're at now in secondary school to becoming a lawyer? What's the real path? Speak to some lawyers and find out, right? You're interested in being a pilot? We have an aviation school present. Come and find out what's the requirements to becoming a pilot or getting into some other career in aviation. What's required? What are the careers that exist, right? We have embassies that will be in attendance. What are scholarship opportunities, or what are the opportunities that exist abroad? And we have the traditional universities that are rushed, but outside the traditional universities, we have the Chinese consulate and embassy, for example, who have come on board with us, besides the US, which is non-traditional, and they have a lot of opportunities that we don't necessarily seize because a lot of our youth are unaware of them. So again, it's to bridge the gap. That's the point of the expo.
Sule, apart from these youths gaining knowledge from this expo, what is there anything in place for just, I guess, when they come to this expo, is there anything in place for them to solidify this knowledge that they've gained, to follow up, for them to actually have action backing up, what they learn at this expo, what they hear?
Well, one of the things is that we've primarily targeted school children, particularly Forms 5s, Form 3s and Form 6s, persons who either selecting subjects or leaving school. So you're leaving school to come and do something, come and see what you can do when you're leaving, right? Instead of going home and wondering what is the next step. Come and see what you can do. Or maybe you have an idea of what you want to do, and you may come and you may discover that there may be more you can do other than what you thought originally possible, right? Now, what we have attempted to do, and so far we have about almost 300 students who've registered, is to have students register in advance. So we have enough information. We have students' interests. We have information on what students would want and contact information. So the idea and the hope is, if we have children who have registered significant interests, either they continue that interest with the organization, or they registered with the organization that they want to continue more information, or through us, we can then continue to link through the information we have collected in registration, the organizations with the parents of these youth, so that there will be continuation. It can be continuation, definitely.
One of the points that I noted in the introduction was that this is targeting specifically youth, post-Spain and environs. Why in this instance is that taking place, and not just youth across Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, it is not. We're not barring youth from across Trinidad and Tobago from attending, but one of these things. A couple of things. One is that our NGO is registered in Port of Spain and environs, and seeing that this is the inaugural event, of course we decided to do it. That's part of why we decided to do it in Port of Spain, the area where we have registered the NGO, right? But moreover, what drove some of this is the current state of social incidences that are violent social incidences that are occurring currently with our youth in Port of Spain, right? And so we felt, how do we help combat that? How do we help address that? We're currently in a state of SOE, right? And so how do we help in that situation? And what we do at youth mobilization is that the idea is we address youth. We find out from youth, we have conversations and come up with solutions. And so the conversations that we had, we listen, The issue we having is that we not have it, right? Essentially was the conversation that we were told. We not have it. Youths not have it, all right? And for persons, and for the layman who doesn't understand that, essentially they were saying, listen, we don't have opportunities, we don't have things available. And when they started to talk about what are some of the things that they wanted, we said, well, these are things that exist. So the idea is for some of these youths who we have had communications with, who are currently or may be involved, or know persons who may be involved in illicit activity because they feel as though there's nothing else left for them, is to provide options. This is what is available to meet the need to bridge the gap. All right, this is what's available. We have a lot of, we primarily targeted Form 5s actually, and we're saying when you leave school, what we found is that we have a lot of youth who leave school and feel as though there's nothing else for them. And we want to show them that there is more. So when this crop leaves, which should be soon, you have CXC, which should be starting in a couple of months. After they're finished, when they leave school, they at least should have an idea of these opportunities that are available to them, and not feel as though it's hopeless, and not feel as though the only option available to them is some sort of illicit activity. So this is our contribution, at least to try to address that. And we've reached out to the MPs for Port of Spain North and South. That's the Honourable Stuart Young and the Honourable Keith Scotland. And we received immeasurable support. They've jumped on board, instantaneously. As soon as we started to explain what we wanted to do and why, they jumped on board one time.
So they're very much a part of this, of course. Those two MPs, Keith Scotland and Stuart Young.
Yes. So there's a part of the program where students will be allowed to actually interact with their members of parliament and to speak and ask questions, to take photos as well. So they will be allowed to maybe even offer suggestions. Maybe say, listen, in national security, this is what really happening. This is what's going on with the youths. This is what we're thinking. Maybe if you try so, and so. You know what I mean? It allows the youths to have a voice and to connect with leadership as well. Again, we're bridging the gap. The idea is to do that, right? To provide all of this experience and so on, and bridge the gap between youth and leadership, youth and the programs that are available.
The event itself sounds extremely promising, but are there plans, or would it be possible for this event to become an annual thing?
Well, the intention is that. The intention is for it to be annual. But of course, one step at a time, baby steps. We're trying to ensure the success of this one first. And then, of course, the sky's the limit subsequently. If, depending on the success of this one, perhaps we don't stop at Port of Spain. Perhaps then we need to look at another area where we go into the community, try to connect with the representatives for that area, and seek support. Right, and I will say that Port of Spain has been very supportive. Even the mayor has come on board. All right, so we've had the mayor is on board, the MPs for the area have come on board. Corporate Trinidad has come on board. All right, and so we are very, very grateful when persons start to hear the idea and what we're hoping to do with this program, that a lot of persons have come on board in support.
I think that's... sorry, Yumi, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to know, I wasn't sure if this was said, my apologies, but how can one register for the event, to be a part of the event or to attend the event?
So you can, so you can go on to social media, all right, Facebook, Instagram, I believe as well. Just look for Youth Mobilization Foundation, and there should be all the information there on registering. And if that is difficult, or for whatever reason you can't, there are some numbers persons could call. All right, there are some numbers persons could call for more information, or to register or to find out further information. Those numbers are 621. 3987, so 621-3987, or 623-8413. That number again, 623-8413. All right.
And
So
we're
persons
trying
could
to make
call.
it easy for you guys because there's social media available. You can call in. So if you can't log into social media, you can call in. And if you have no money on your phone, you're gonna have to try and do something about that because there are options and there are opportunities that are available, of course. But still, I'm taking a look at the flyer right now. I'm reading the tenets of tomorrow's planned event. Getting to meet the MPs and have discussions with them. As you would have mentioned, there are embassies that would be present as well. Various educational institutes from Transvago will be there. And you get to connect with the top mentors in the industry as well. So, Sule, this is actually in the globalized world that we live in now, people talk about the importance of networking. This is one of the first steps that these young people will have in the art of networking, getting to meet other youth, getting to meet industry mentors. This is also an opportunity for them to gain some knowledge and some practice in networking as well.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. It's a foot in the door. One of the complaints that youth have all the time, well, two of the complaints. One is that all organizations ask them for experience, and they just left school, so they have no experience. And the other complaint is that they don't know anybody. All right, so they feel listen, we don't know anybody. Like who we talking to for job application? Where job applications coming out? And the funny thing is, we live in a time where there's social media, where there's actually more access to information, and yet still you feel more disconnected from corporate Trinidad than ever before, which is strange. Yeah, because for the rest of us, before social media became such a huge thing, you'd find out about jobs in the papers, right? Or you'd go around and ask questions, you'd go to organizations. And I think we've moved away from that. And once the information is not directly in the sphere or the circle of youth, they feel it does not exist and there's none, right? So you're right. A big opportunity here is to network and grow their circles so that they can inform themselves about opportunities and what exists outside there.
Now, Sule, as we're nearing the end of this conversation, again, thanks very much for joining us, and thank you very much for being very much at the forefront of organizing this particular event. It
Thanks
is
for having
taking
me.
place tomorrow at Napa.
Yes.
It's what time is it taking place from? And again, admission is free to all those who are tagging along.
Right. So yes, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Please go. That's Friday the 17th at Napa. For the people who don't know when Napa is, it's right to the bottom of the savannah, right? Right to the bottom of the savannah, people. That's Napa, the Performing Arts Center. There's a formal ceremony that's closed. Students have been invited from all the schools in Port of Spain. And have registered and so on. So there's a official ceremony part that starts from 11:30 to 12:10, right? Just about 45 minutes. And those students will initially, that's the 300 or so odd students, will initially go through all of the booths that would be present. We have about 16 or 17 providers confirmed. They would go through the various booths, and at 2:30 we open to the public. So at 2:30, every and anybody, you're welcome to come and if persons are asking why this initiative is targeted for persons between the ages of 12 to 25, even if you are over the age and you just want information, or you feel as though perhaps you are looking to change a career or something, come down. Come and participate. Come and get the information. I am certain it will impact and assist someone. All right, I'm certain of that. So come. It's free. All that we ask though is that remember the persons. This is Napa, so we just ask people to be mindful of how you dress enter in Napa. All right, you don't have to come in suit and tie and be fancy, but let's just be mindful of the space. So dress appropriately. There'll be children around and so on as well. So let's dress appropriately, covered.
Oh, dress
Right.
as though you are in a workplace. Dress as though this is
Yeah.
you actually heading in for your very first job. You know.
Well, I don't know. You do
Well, I
understand
know
that
still exactly what you're gonna say.
There may be persons who may complain that they don't have, you're not working and you don't have a job and so on. So I understand that, but what we're asking is for persons to be mindful that it's a job, it's a career and job fair kind of thing. So be mindful of that when you come into Dress for the Space, right? You want support, you want to get through, you want a GT, okay, no problem. Then you had to dress like you want a GT, all right? So, but come through, don't let dress be stopped, don't let the dress be the thing stopping you. Long pants, a t-shirt if you have that, a shirt if you have that, a polo, just something respectful and please come. It's free.
Indeed, Sule, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning, and thank you very much for being, as I said, at the forefront of organizing this event. Congratulations, of course, and all the very best to tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Keaton. Probably you should come and talk about being a television host and how do you wake up and have your hair perfect in the morning, or how do you you can come share some tips with the youth.
No problem at all. Very, very much always open to it. Just let me know anytime you need some help, and I'll also speak about the stresses of having colleagues like Sule and the youth, and how to navigate such challenges in the workplace. Thank you, Sule.
Thank you for having me, Mr. H.H. McNeish. Have a blessed day.
This is very interesting what is taking place tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very happy to know that it has received overwhelming support here from the business community, from educational institutions, from embassies, and of course from MP Stuart Young and Keith Scotland, who are very much a part of this and very much supporting this. They will be present tomorrow, and of course, as Sule mentioned, there will be a small opening ceremony. Small in the sense that it's just about 40 minutes in length of time, but there will be opportunities to speak to these MPs as well. So very much good for that. And of course, I'm going to share with you the numbers very quickly once more. You can go on social media, the Youth Mobilization Foundation, Youth Mobilization Foundation. You can look it up on social media, get more information there. And if you'd like to call, it's 621 3987, that's 621-3987, or 623-8413, 623-8413. And please attend tomorrow. It's taking place from 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's open to the public, though, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Napa. So, ladies and gentlemen, excellent news, of course. This has been fun for me, too. I have my two colleagues. We're very, very close to WSN, so of course, it's very good to see my two colleagues bright and early on a morning. So let's take a break on this program now because we've got lots more conversations to get into. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Do you need treatment for obesity or any related abdominal procedures? The community hospital now offers minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery done by an American-trained, board-certified surgeon with over 20 years' experience. Give us a call at 235-5479 for more information.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner. Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for staying with us. Keaton Shaw with you this morning, joined by Naomi McNish, who is with us. Naomi, it's good to see you, and thanks very much for joining us, of course. But that was too much of a quick flash. You got to give Naomi a little bit of airtime there, man. That was just too quick. But anyway, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this morning our next topic focuses on the Movement for Social Justice, who have indicated that they are not ready for an electoral challenge in 2025. Instead, they will continue on advocating for citizens, as well as it relates to building the party over the next number of years. So joining us on the program this morning is the political leader of the Movement for Social Justice, Mr. David Abdullah. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Keaton, and morning, Naomi. Thanks for having me. Morning to all who are tuned in.
Thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Abdullah, it has come to this point where I have to ask you whether or not the MSJ could be taken seriously as a political entity, as a political party. I mean, we knew that general elections were going to be held in 2025. There's been enough planning, enough time for the party to get its resources together. What has led to this decision?
Yes, well, we took a very careful look at over quite some time, but we had an extensive executive meeting on the 4th of January, all day. And again, we met on the 7th in the evening, and our activists met for an extensive discussion on Monday last, which would have been the 13th. And prior to that, of course, we have been assessing the political situation and our own state as a political party. Now, when we contested the local government elections in 2019, we really began to expand into new areas of the country. We had candidates in the San Juan Laventille Regional Corporation, San Fernando City Corporation, as well as Siparia, Point Fortin Borough Corporation, Diego Martin Regional Corporation. And we were hoping that expansion, particularly in the East-West corridor, and then consolidating and expanding in the South, would have put us in good stead for the, initially 2020 general elections and then 2025. We did contest the 2020 general elections, and the results were not what we expected, given the fact that the 4 of these 5 seats that we contested were in fact in the oil communities, and we thought that with the closure of Petrotrin and the MSJ's strong position against the closure of Petrotrin and the impacts of that on oil workers, their families, retired oil workers, and so on, that we would have generated more support. That didn't emerge, but we were not daunted by that, and but that was COVID. So we actually, coming out of the 2019 local government elections with that expansion, we weren't able to consolidate as we would have liked, because COVID came in March. I think the elections in 2019 would have been late 2019, around November. So it was Christmas into Carnival into COVID. And then general elections, the country opened up for a short while and then closed down again. So all of those things affected us in a particular way. But we are a serious political party, and we intend and plan to make a serious challenge for government. But for a party like ours, we have to challenge the status quo of the existing political culture, which, and I have discussed this before, which political culture is based largely around ethnicity, race, religion, geography, because there's Tobago politics separate from Trinidad politics and so on. And then the 2 parliamentary parties tend to have their support base located in different parts of geographical parts of the country. And there's also the culture of money, big money in in politics, particularly electoral politics in Trinidad and Tobago. And in fact, one of the things that we have been advocating for is party finance and campaign finance regulation. And there is a bill before the Parliament since 2020. It's the Representation of the People Amendment Bill, number 1 of 2020, and then I think they brought it back in 2021. And that bill we made very detailed comments on. It's been before Joint Select Committee of Parliament now for 4 or 5 years, and it can't get out because neither the PNM nor the UNC want to have any transparency and accountability with respect to how they get their money for elections. So to challenge all of that, you really have to have done a lot of work and so on in terms of being able to get to the point where you can challenge for government. And we felt that
Mr. Abdullah, if I may just interject,
Sure.
listening to what you say, going to the last election that the MSG would have contested, those 5 seats in oil communities, as you would have mentioned, and not necessarily getting the support that was expected. Is that a concession that the MSG just does not have the following, and that the MSG simply is not getting the support that is necessary, and therefore it may be seen that the MSG is not being taken seriously, hence why not necessarily getting the support? Is that a concession?
No, it's a concession that the politics of the traditional politics of ethnicity and so on have prevailed, so that whereas workers who we expected to support us, and it's a reflection of the fact that many of the organized working class, members of trade unions, have party loyalties that are different from their trade union loyalties, and this is not new. It goes back to the 60s and 70s. We don't have time, but I could cite many examples of that. Yeah, George Weeks, for example, as President General of the Oil Workers Trade Union, contested the Point-of-Care seat in the 1966 elections for the Workers and Farmers Party and lost badly. So, and he was a President General and so on. And Point-of-Care constituency at that time would have had, predominantly oil workers being members, but didn't win. So it's not something that is new, but we anticipated, if you wish, that given the closure of Petrotrin, given that there was a major issue there, that oil workers, their families, were former oil workers, former Petrotrin workers, their families, retired oil workers and so on, would have seen that it was in their economic and social interest, quite apart from party and so on, their economic and social interest to support the MSJ in the context of the fact that MSJ stood with them in the fight to save the company and to defend them. So that didn't happen. So we have begun to shift our work. We weren't able to do a lot of the work we should have done because of COVID, but we have been very active and we have been engaged in campaigns such as the campaign to educate workers about their rights, unorganized workers, and that has gone well. We have distributed thousands of pamphlets in Port of Spain, downtown Port of Spain, Arima, downtown San Fernando, parts of Chaguanas, the Sawa, the Crazy, and so on. And that has to be continued. So we believe that we need to take one step backwards in order to make 2 steps forward. There's an old saying, 1 step forward, 2 steps backward. Right. But we're flipping that and going to take 1 step backwards to take 2 steps forward. And that simply is it. We need to consolidate and build and expand, and that's going to be our focus.
I know that you said that the MSJ should still be taken seriously as a political organization, but to me it sounds as though it's transformed itself from a political party more so to an advocacy group, based upon what you're saying.
No, we are going to go on a major membership consolidation and membership drive. And you'll see the plans being rolled out over the next weeks and months. So no, we are not shifting from a political party to advocacy group. People in Trinidad and Tobago and many parts of the world believe that politics is only about elections. Politics is about elections, but is much more than that. And so a political party has relevance outside of an electoral cycle, contrary to what many people believe. And this is what we have demonstrated in reality, because we are the only political party that has survived for 12 years without holding a single position in government or in local government. And that is, in by itself, an outstanding record, because all the others fall by the wayside. And I'm sure that after this elections in 2025, a number of political parties are going to disappear and fall by the wayside. Some of them, go mute, and then you see a leader pop up from time to time just before an election. We at the MSA is not like that. We have serious activists. We do serious work on the ground, raising fundamental issues, challenging the status quo. But to challenge the status quo in this country is not an easy task. Yes, you're up against an economic system, which economic system is causing tremendous hardship for the vast majority of people while enriching a tiny few. So we are up against that system. We are up against a political system which concentrates power in the hands of the cabinet and therefore creates, in effect, what has been called prime ministerial dictatorship. We are up against a social structure of patriarchy and of normalizing almost gender-based violence and things like that. So there's a lot that we have to tackle. And when we made our announcement on Tuesday morning, we also made an important announcement which demonstrates the strength and growth of the MSG at this moment, which announcement was that we now have 3 spokespersons who will address subject matters in their area of professional competence. Ms. Avian Drayton-Bailey, first Vice President of the Trinidad and Tobago Nurses Association. She's a highly qualified health professional, a lecturer in health matters at University of Trinidad and Tobago, and she'll be speaking about health. We have Mr. Davanan Sinanan, a retired school principal from Palo Seco Secondary, former president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, who will be our spokesperson on education. And a young person, Mr. Runako Gregg, attorney at law, who has a practice here in Trinidad and Tobago and also in Ontario, Canada, who will be addressing public law matters like constitutional and civil rights law. So that demonstrates growth. And over the coming weeks and months, you're going to see other persons identified as spokespersons. So it will not only be me who will be called upon to say something on issue A, B, or C in the country. And this is important. And our work to reach out to new demographics of membership is going to be taking place in this period leading up to and after the elections. So we have a lot of work to do. We have to create a sustainable and transparent foundation, financial foundation, and transparent, of course, in the context of what I said before, that money is buying political office in this country. The most extreme example of that is not necessarily in Trinidad and Tobago, it's in the United States with Mr. Trump, with multi-billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos having tremendous influence over the politics of that country. Well, so those are some of the tasks that we have set, as well as, of course, reaching out to younger people like yourself and Naomi and so on, who will see the value of working to build a political party that keeps a progressive whole in the country. If there wasn't an MSG, just imagine if there wasn't an MSG, and the narrative in the politics of this country was only PNM and UNC, and who bashing Rowley and who bashing Kamala, who saying this about this one and that kind of thing, and then you have other political people who only speak about themselves. His I man thing, I did this and I did this, and if I was there I would have done this and so on. We have to move away from that kind of politics to progressive ideas for fundamental change, and MSA, quite frankly, is the only political party that is capable of doing that, and we need to build that and strengthen that in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Abdullah, we understand that the appointment of the 3 spokespersons are one step that the MSJ is taking on expanding its membership. So we have public law, health, and education. Is there a specific reason why those 3 categories or groups were targeted for you all to bring forth first?
Yes, I mean, if you take, excuse me, the education system is actually one of the major problems in Trinidad and Tobago. We have had for decades now, and it was only fairly recently, the Ministry of Education has been publishing this information, but for decades, a system where 50% of the children don't pass SEA. Many of our children going to secondary school not being able to read and write, you know, in a functional way. 50% of the children do not get at CSEC 5 subjects. Some drop out before they get to writing CSEC. Some go in fifth form but don't do the SBAs. So we have an education system which creates huge inequality of opportunity. Of course, we celebrate those who have done very well, but what about the 50% who are doing badly? And it is out of that 50% that who are doing badly that that get attracted to activities like criminal gangs. You know, and Davanan is very clear about the problems of the education system and so on. So that is a crucial area that few political parties are prepared to tackle, because many of those who lead the parties, our children do well in school. We are part of the elitist education system, but we have to change that in the interest of the majority. Healthcare is vital because without good health, life becomes problematic. And we have a two-tiered healthcare system where if you have a lot of money, you could access the best health care in the country. If you don't, then you may have to wait for 10, 12 hours to get a bed in the hospital and so on. So we need to tackle health and look at it from strengthening our primary healthcare sector. Thirdly, with respect to public law, you know, matters come up in Parliament, pieces of legislation, and you know, we need someone who can address that. And then there are civil rights issues that need to be addressed as well. So those are the first three we're going to start with. Obviously the environment is another key area that we want to have a spokesperson on, and there'll be others as we proceed. I mean, it's very easy. Any number of us could speak about industrial relations and workers' issues and labor issues, right? So we don't necessarily need a new person to speak about that, although we may identify someone, so I don't have to do it. Because within our ranks, we have many persons who could speak to that. And there are other important areas, things like transportation, infrastructure, housing, and so on, that we will need to address as well.
Mr. Abdullah, I'm not, please forgive me, I'm not disregarding what you said this morning, what you put on the table. I recognize that these are issues in Trinidad and Tobago. However, in the context of the conversation, you ran for the parliamentary seat of Tunapuna under the United Labour Front. Not gonna give away at what age you ran, but you were very, very young when you ran for that seat for the candidate as Tunapuna under the United Labour Front. When last did you actually run an election campaign for a seat? And why is it at this point, though you've laid all these things on the table this morning, you as political leader are not contesting one seat in this election?
I contested in 2020. I contested the Point of Pear seat in 2020. We had a candidate in Point Fortin, Labre, Faizabad. The deputy political leader contested Faizabad. Our elections officer contested Point Fortin. We had another colleague who worked at Point of Pear. He contested Labre, and I contested Point of Pear. And then one of our activists wanted to contest Diego Martin Central. It was out of the oil belt, but we agreed, and she contested Diego Martin Central. So those are the 5 seats. So it was 5 years ago that I contested Keaton, not that long ago. And yes, the previous time was 1976 when I was 21, going on 22. I turned 22 during the election campaign. I think the election date was the 13th of September. My birthday is the 7th of September. So I turned 22 in the election campaign. Not afraid to say that. That's reality, fact. Quite proud of it. And
No. I think that's good. It's excellent. At 20, I'm glad you said at 22 that you contested the election. You turned 20 during the campaign, and of course, yes, I do recall you contesting the elections in 2020 as well. But in that regard, again, I understand all that's being put forward. But as political leader, do you think that you should have taken an opportunity to contest a seat? Even if you want to take a look at it during the oil belt, perhaps even those seats that you just called in 2020 that other candidates contested and were not successful, David Abdullah has been the face of the MSG for a number of years and has been leading the MSG for a number of years, perhaps he may have a better opportunity in another seat other than Pointe-a-Pierre.
Yes, well, I think that, when we did our assessment, this election is going to be a very hotly contested election. In 2020, when I contested, we were I walked that constituency. I walked virtually every street in that constituency, unlike the other two candidates. And we got a lot of good feedback, a lot of very positive feedback. And in the last week of the campaign, the word on the ground started spreading. Don't vote for MSJ because you will split the vote. And the message of splitting the vote is that if you are a UNC supporter and you vote MSJ and split the UNC vote, the PNM will win. Or if you're a UNC supporter and you split the vote, the UNC will win. In other words, go back to voting your traditional party. And that was the message. And when we got that feedback on the ground, I actually did a recording. One of our supporters and so on organized for me to go in a studio in Marbella, and I did a short recording with a message to the electorate in Pointe-a-Pierre saying, don't take on that narrative, that propaganda, if you wish, or that narrative, because it is important. What you do is very important, and so on. And therefore, what you have to do is do the right thing, and the right thing is to vote for MSJ and not worry about splitting the vote. And so we, in the context, yes, and I think that the message that both the UNC and the PNM are putting out on the ground impacted negatively on MSJ's vote count, certainly in Pointe-a-Pierre, because I think many people did run back to their traditional party when they went into that polling booth. So that is something in a hotly contested election, and we expect 2025 to be very hotly contested. 2020 was as well, because it was 22-19 was the split for 2020, yes? And 2025 may be as close or even closer, who knows? And therefore, people will say, yes, they like MSJ, yes, they like David Abdullah, yes, he would be good to be in Parliament and so on, to speak for us and to defend us and to advance our interests. But if I do that, will that tip the balance one way or the other? And will my traditional party lose government as a result of that? That's another factor that we have to consider. And therefore, when we next make a run in the general elections, we are going to make a run as a serious challenger, not to split votes, but to take government. But to do that, we have to build the party and strengthen it. We can't do that now, and therefore we have to build the party and strengthen it.
Mr. Abdullah, I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. I know that Naomi had more questions. I myself had more questions. A lot was said, and there's a lot more to be said, sir, but I know this is time doesn't permit that.
I know, bring me back again, but we started a little later than we thought this morning as well.
Yeah. Time is always a factor. It's always a bit of
This will
headache.
definitely have to be a continued conversation because I had so much prepared.
I look forward to the conversation continuing. You're the producer, so you just schedule it, right? Keita will jump and follow suit.
Let me know.
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Thank you very much indeed for your time and for what you put forward. And certainly, I think there's a lot more that both Naomi and I have to ask, but we'll have to end it there.
Thank you very much for having me. Look forward to the continuation of the conversation.
Indeed, sir. All the very best. Bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. We will return shortly. Stay with us. All right, Mr. Abdullah, thank you.
best birthday gifts are at dbesttoys.com. Shop for the best brands you love at the best prices. Like VTech, Leapfrog, Fisher-Price, Play-Doh, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Cocomelon, LOL, Baby Alive, Crayola.
Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McBean. Shop online now at dbesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 32DBEST to order. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
This is 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region.
Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Welcome back, AM Prime viewers. So I hope this is not too much of a surprise to see me opening back the show, but
it is for me.
Well, we're trying something new today. So our next guest is Dr. Kevin Saran. He is the NTA candidate for San Fernando West. Hi, Dr. Saran. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to you and also your viewers for WESN.
Yes, thank you. So, Dr. Saran, you spoke, I'm jumping right into it. You spoke about giving the younger generation a chance to run as a candidate over the older ones. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about your stance on that statement?
Sure. So, let me start by saying that I made this statement at the opening of our San Fernando West constituency office for the National Transmission Alliance. I've always been an advocate for the youths in the population and for, voicing their opinions. So this is not something that's new to me. In fact, I was actually the youth director for youth progression for the National Transmission Alliance for the past year and a half before I progressed up to the position of the deputy political leader. So I have always been an activist for youths in Trinidad and Tobago. When you look at the political system, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but across the world, you see a very ageable population getting into politics. The young people in Trinidad and Tobago particularly, has never really had a voice when it comes to politics in Trinidad and Tobago. And I have often believed in championing for youthful people to get into politics. Now, there are two sides to this coin. A lot of people would say that, you know, young people don't have the experience. But on the flip side, they bring a fresh new wealth of ideas to the political landscape that have never been there before. So we require to keep dynamic if we want to progress forward. And on the other side, a lot of people say, well, you know, they need the experience, but experience is not necessarily a good thing if it's bad experience. And to be honest, that's pretty much what we've seen for the last 60 plus years in Trinidad and Tobago.
Dr. Saran, you're challenging for San Fernando West in this election. It's considered a marginal seat, and you are going up against what can be considered two strong candidates in Faris Harawi of the People's National Movement and Dr. Michael Dollard for the United National Congress. What makes you a formidable candidate? Why is it that people should consider you as a viable option to represent the people of San Fernando West and, of course, lead in a government here in Trinidad and Tobago?
So I have to say I respect the two candidates, and I'm sure there are many other candidates, but I guess these would be two of the main candidates, being that they come from the major political parties. But you also have to ask yourself, you know, are you satisfied as a person from San Fernando West? Are you satisfied with what has been done with San Fernando so far? The incumbent person has been there for almost roughly about 10 years, and you have to ask yourself, what kind of progress has San Fernando West seen? In addition to that, as I've always been championing, the fact that I am a youthful person, I am very outspoken about issues for San Fernando, you have to ask yourself about the choice and the selection of candidates that some of these political parties put up front, right? For example, I made a statement on a political platform where I said, you know, we were once termed proper parties by another political party. And if we are a proper party, meaning somebody who just came to the landscape, and we compare ourselves to those who consider themselves non-proper parties, and these people have pretty much been there for, you know, 30, 40 years. And out of an electorate of almost hundreds of thousands of people that want to champion youth and youthful votes, that they find it very difficult to find a youthful person to put in there. It really shows where, you know, where their mindset is at. It's almost like they're saying, do as I say, one as I do. And I haven't really heard much from the other candidates, but I almost daily, you know, put out situations with issues that come up for San Fernando West and by extension Trinidad and Tobago.
Dr. Saran, so there was a, well, I'm going to quote something that you said. I know sorry, to truly change the system, you have to become part of the system. So with that statement, I know at I believe this was when you announced your candidacy for San Fernando West, you told a story of when you volunteered at the San Fernando General for 3 months. So that we can understand is you kind of placing yourself in the system or showing how, you know, a relatable experience. So what other aspect of the system can you tell us that you know, have placed yourself in, that you can, to make a statement like that?
To make a statement like that, when I said that statement, what I really meant to go with, could you remind me of exactly which part of that statement that you're referring to?
To truly change the system, you have to become part of the system.
Right. So what I was talking about when I made reference to that was actually politics in Trinidad and Tobago. And a lot of people have conversations all over the country. You have them in corridors, you have them in bars, you have them in restaurants, traveling in a taxi. And I was really trying to say that in situations like that, you hear some of the best ideas from these people on the ground. And these people don't have the ability to change the system. And these ideas never really get filtered into the political system because they're pretty much washed under the rug. And I'm saying that people with great ideas need to actually get involved in the system in order to be able to change it. In other words, you can't make a decision in Parliament if you're not part of Parliament. So that is what I was alluding to when I made that statement.
Yes, okay.
You have to become part of the system, and then you can attempt to change it. It's very unfortunate because the system right now is not one that I would consider efficient.
You know, I'm curious to know why San Fernando West and why it is, what plans you have for this constituency in particular. I mean, recently we heard about Faris Sahrawi and seeing that housing in San Fernando West. So we've got a promising future for that. So the campaign has begun, of course. But what about hearing more from you? What about hearing more of your plans for San Fernando West?
Sure. So San Fernando West is a pretty big area. And as I said, the incumbent would have been there for a while. I mean, 10 years is enough to show the people of San Fernando West whether you were able to do something for San Fernando West or not. I think if you need more than that, then that would be a little concerning. And I'll give you an example. This waterfront project that they're pushing, the vision for that is 2030, right? And it seems that is a trend no matter where you go throughout the world. Very experienced politicians use this tactic where they will not set short-term goals. In other words, they will kick the ball so far into the future that they will never be there to see the results of what they're showing. This San Fernando waterfront project that they have been pushing, and this went on stream since 2017. The first part of this project actually only just came on stream just about a year ago. And this was actually San Fernando, the car park in front of the hospital in San Fernando there, as part of the overall San Fernando development for the waterfront. And I'll give you an example of something that took place just a couple of days ago. I had to go visit a relative at the hospital there. And when I went to the hospital, usually the parking would be outside the hospital on the side of the street headed up to the hospital. I've noted that they built this hospital and they're now charging persons to utilize the car park system. Sorry, they built the car park and they're now charging persons to utilize the car park. And you would think that that's a good thing, that is supposed to help with the car park situation. But $132 million later, and persons are now having to pay to use the car park. And they have blocked off a side of the street that people normally park. So they're forcing persons to utilize the paid car park system. And people might say, well, it's just $8 an hour, it's not much. But I have actually put out a video on this just yesterday. And almost every single person who visited the facility said that nobody spends an hour over there. The average person spends about $160 to $200 just for a couple hours in the car park. So they're forcing persons to pay for something that was previously free after spending $132 million. So, and this is pretty much the overall outlook of the San Fernando West waterfront. All of the facilities that they plan to put there, you have to ask yourself how much income does it generate, and is it forcing persons who are already there making a living for free? For example, some of the vendors that are along the waterfront there now, they are now going to have to be paying rent for some of these facilities that they're going to build all these fancy infrastructure. And if they have to pay rent, obviously, if they're selling something, they're going to have to raise the price of it. So are you really getting, is it really helping the citizens of there, or is it helping the contractors, or who is it really helping overall?
So there's a lot of issues associated with traffic as a whole in San Fernando West and with congestion. And one of the issues, as you mentioned, is parking. And even with the parking facilities, there seems to be an economic challenge with that. And it seems to be at a disadvantage to patrons and even to businesses. But as I mentioned, there are issues with traffic as a whole as it relates to San Fernando West. And even as it relates to the congestion at certain periods, do you have plans to bring some sort of revitalization or even a traffic plan for the city? These are key points.
Of course. But to devise a traffic plan for the city, which is absolutely needed, one of the things you have to do is sit down and look at the current traffic plan. And a lot of the data that you require to make the decision for the traffic plans are not really readily available to the public. In addition to that, if you're going to be building a car park facility, it's really supposed to help the situation. I drove through that car park and almost 90% of that facility car park that they built was unoccupied. It carries almost 1,000, the capacity to hold almost 1,000 cars inside it. And if 90% is unoccupied, the streets outside are completely laden with cars, then $132 million later, did you solve the problem that you initially set out to do? And the answer is not really. And I look at the different phases. They're planning to do this San Fernando waterfront project in about 3 phases. And you have to ask yourself, which of these factors are income generating assets for the country? Anybody could dip their hand in treasury and say, okay, I'm going to take out $500 million for phase 1 and whatever. But you have to ask yourself, where's the cost benefit analysis in some of the things that these people do? How much income is it going to generate back for us? And I find that very concerning because, a lot of contracts, we know what happens when contracts of these data are given out.
Being a candidate representing a new party, a new political party, are you concerned at all or worried about the result of this election?
Not at all. I'm humble enough to know that I have bit of a big part of the pie by putting myself up as a candidate. But I am also not one to back down. Success is not something that has been shortcoming for me. I have had many successes throughout my career, and I am a go-getter. And a lot of people they make jokes about losing the deposits and whatnot. I think that's a very small price to pay for offering yourself a service to the country. And if that happens, it happens. I'm putting my best foot forward, and I will be quite content with whatever the results. And I'll even go one step further. If I am, for example, in that particular situation, and I am not successful, I will personally reach out and congratulate the person that is successful. It doesn't matter to me. I'm putting my best foot forward, and it's for country, not for self or political party.
Well, it's a good question in your part. I mean, in respect to a new political party, they've contested the last local government elections, heading into general election for the first time. And with that being said, Dr. Saran, you are a familiar face associated with the NCA. You are the deputy political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, and you've been a part of budget panels. You've been a part of discussions. You've made yourself also known via your videos and your posts to social media. But this is perhaps a very basic but very, very important question. Exactly who is Dr. Kevin Saran? I've had this, I'm interviewing you this morning, speaking to you about your candidacy, speaking about San Fernando West and your plans. But who exactly is the individual that I'm speaking to? Please tell us a bit more about who you are as an individual. I
That's
want
a
to know
very
about your
interesting question.
principles. I want to know about your beliefs. I want to know about your visions for not just San Fernando West, but for politics in Trinidad and Tobago.
So, and that is an excellent question that you just posed there. And I'll tell you something a little about me. I have kept in the background for a very, very long time. I had no interest in politics whatsoever. I'm not a big fan of politicians. But like I said in my statement earlier, in order to change the system, you have to first become part of it. And I would have been just like every other average person. I think I had social media was only something that came new to me probably about 2 years ago. Was the first time I had a TikTok account. I had one Facebook account I just used to store pictures. I stayed off social media, pretty much clean. But you see, you had to connect with the people, and you had to open up yourself to the people if you want to put yourself in a position like that. And I felt like these platforms allowed me to voice my opinions. A lot of the ideas I had are similar to what everybody else have on the ground. They're having a conversation in a taxi, in a bar, whatever. These people, these conversations never really make it to the forefront. And I feel like my ideas resonated with a lot of people because I see things that what the average person sees, not what the politicians and the officers see. They see it from a totally different aspect. And I felt like it was a way to connect with the people. But yes, I have stayed away from politics purposefully. I was really hoping somebody else took up the mantle. It's not, nobody wants to be in politics. Well, at least not me. But I feel like if you want to make a change, you have to be part of the system.
So if you stayed away from politics, what led you to joining the National Transformation Alliance and by extension, becoming one of its leaders?
That was something that chose me, if you want to put it like that. So I put myself out there, and I think I got a lot more support than I expected in the very early days of getting into politics. I was just on one of my social media platforms, just scrolling through a video, just like any other average person. And I saw a video with Gary Griffith saying that he wanted to start a party. And I have a lot of respect for the individual. I mean, what he did as a commissioner of police was something that was mind-blowing. I think when you look at the crime situation back then and how much of a control that we had over it compared to now, I mean, having two successively high murder rates, one after the other, I mean, people are fearful. Back then, you had some element of safety. When somebody did something wrong, you could guarantee in about 15 minutes if they put out a video, you would see something a few moments later, they had that caption associated with it, and then they would capture the person and you'll see the police there. And I thought that was one of the funniest things ever, and it dealt with the crime situation in a way that everybody, you're excited to almost see when somebody did something wrong, and 15 minutes later, they would show up on the TTPS website with, the criminals at their side.
Now, coming back to you as an individual and you as a candidate, uh, you've indicated that you believe that you can do a lot better and you can offer a lot better than those right now who are offering themselves. But Dr. Saran, that is quite a bold statement to make for somebody who is relatively new to the political scene, as you've admitted, and somebody who still is, though very much active on social media, still very much quiet in respect to the public forefront. Not everyone is on social media, and you have to try and pull young people's votes, of course, but you've also got the older heads to convince. I'm still trying to be convinced here this morning. And so going back to your statements about being able to do better, being able to offer better, please elaborate a bit further on that.
Sure. And when I made that statement, it was in no form or fashion meant to be made in a way that was going to sound cocky. But I am very confident in the way I approach things. And I have a template in any problem that I approach. The first thing you have to do is you have to assess the situation. You have to identify a problem. You have to understand the reason behind the problem, and then come up, you brainstorm some solutions, and then you go on to form checks and balances, and then after you reassess the situation. So it falls under some basic principles of management. So you go to leadership, accountability, measurement and management of performance. Sorry, management and measurement of performance. And if you assume that, let's call it LAMP model. If you assume that principles and the way you approach any problem, you will be successful no matter what. Because even if you go wrong, let's just say you make a wrong decision, there are checkpoints within those things that will allow you to reassess the situation and tweak it as needed. So it doesn't really matter the situation or the problem. You will get to the bottom of it regardless. So if you adopt that approach, it's guaranteed success. Even if you fail, you're going to reassess the situation, go back to the point that you failed, and then try again.
Dr. Saran, before we wrap up this morning, as we're nearing the end, well, we would like to give you the opportunity to just, tell our viewers of San Fernando West anything you would like to tell them this morning as their candidate.
Thank you very much. So I would like to say to the people of San Fernando West, we have basically touched down. We are officially part of San Fernando West now as a political party. Our office is located on Lord Street. And I am no stranger to San Fernando West. You guys are going to be seeing me walking about, probably, in the crowded areas, in the residential areas. It doesn't matter. And if you guys want something new, something dynamic for San Fernando West, I am definitely your person. And I look forward to meeting each and every one of you all.
Well, Dr. Saran, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. We hope to hear more from you, of course, so we thank you for the conversation. And we look forward to more conversations, of course. But all the very best to you in your campaign, and of course, all the very best to all the other candidates taking part in this election race. And for San Fernando West, of course, Dr. Michael Dullard and Faris Arabi. But Dr. Saran, thank you for your time this morning. And of course, all the very best to you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the candidate for San Fernando West from the National Transformation Alliance. Dr. Kevin Saran was also deputy political leader of the party. We've been calling for change across Trinidad and Tobago for quite some time, and I think we still don't know exactly what change is, or we still are confused by our definition of change. When I speak about change, I don't necessarily mean in terms of the camera angle. I know my eyes are quite nice. It's good to see a close-up of it just now, isn't it? But Naomi, of course, very good questions on your part as well, and the questions that you've asked in relation to being different, offering more, and being a part of the system in order to change it.
And I think it's a good thing, that change, to see a new face.
It's good to see a new face. It is. It is good to see a new face, but it's a very difficult task ahead, because as much as we're calling for change, and people say they want change, somehow or the other, when it comes to an election, that I don't know, they're not convinced. So it's a challenging road ahead, of course, for Dr. Saran and for any other candidate to try and sway voters their way and say, listen, I'm offering something different. And I think I'm the right person to represent you. So one of the good things, though, is that he has the opportunity as a young individual to try and pull some of the youth votes in TNT. He has that opportunity. It's all massive campaigning to try and convince the older generations who are a bit more stubborn in their ways.
Yeah, they're set in their ways.
Yes, you're very diplomatic about it, Naomi. You're very diplomatic about it. But anyway, that's it. So, Naomi, thank you very much. I know that Naomi had a lot more to talk this morning. I could tell from her facial reactions. She's like, God, that's the time already. Time flies when you're having fun, isn't it? Welcome to the early morning shift. You have to get used to it, Naomi.
y'all would probably start seeing more of me soon. But I hope I can carry the mantle, Keaton's mantle, and just as well as he does.
I'm not leaving EM Prime, folks.
No.
But Naomi is joining. Is going to be joining me a bit more
often. Yes.
Yeah. And that's good. That's good. We certainly welcome that. It's and of course you very much have it there for you to carry on. So who knows? Maybe I can take a bit of a break and Naomi can do the early morning shift in time to come. Hopefully I can take a bit of a break and she can wake up before the sun rises.
Keaton wants a vacation.
Thank you. Yeah. And as my co-producer, I hope that you give me that permission. Naomi, it's good seeing you. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, on behalf of WESN Constant Capital and AM Prime, thank you very much for being with us. And to our team in studio, Ryan Gomez, Burke Malwood, and a young fellow we refer to as Junior. Yes, Junior is with us this morning. After initiation, his name will be revealed. He has to go through an initiation process. We don't call it a 6-month probation. We call it an initiation, and he'll find out more about what that entails in time to come. But thank you very much, of course. From Naomi and I, we say today is a good day to have a good day.
A great day.
And both of us, yes, a great day. Thank you very much, Naomi. She's absolutely correct. A great day. Today is a good day to have a great day. And we'll both see you again very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
WESN.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place